One day, you could be a nobody, and the very next day, you could go from being nameless to kinda famous. Today's guest. On the very first episode, I interviewed Clint Bartlett. He's known for his fishing content as well as his drone and camera work. He has 10,000 followers on Instagram, 577 YouTube subscribers, over 27,000 followers on TikTok, and a video that has amassed over 1 million views. Here's the interview. All right, so we are here with our first ever guest on this show, Nameless to Famous, Nameless to Kind of Famous, Clint Bartlett from Bartlett Outfitters. That's still what you're using?
Yeah, I changed it to Clint Bartlett Fishing, but
Okay.
that's and then we have our podcast is the Below Average Angler, and then
Awesome.
yeah,
So it's been a long time. How you been, man?
pretty good, man. How long have we known each other? Let's start out with that real quick.
God,
We met in elementary school,
yeah.
definitely.
I think it was either first or second grade.
First or
We known each other
second
for
grade,
a
man.
long time, and then
Yeah.
we took driver's ed together.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then, well, I got my license way after you because of whole issues with my adoption and whatnot. But yeah, it's been a very, very long time. I'm glad that that you were able to come on and do this first
Yeah,
episode
man.
with me.
Yeah, dude, I'm super stoked.
Yeah. So let's get into some of the questions here. Your content is mostly based on fishing, and I know that I think in college you did competitive fishing as well.
Mhm.
How'd you get into the competitive side of fishing?
So the competitive side of fishing, I didn't realize was a thing until I went to college. So I went to college, and it was a big club fair, and I remember walking around and I saw a bass boat, and I was like, oh, like I grew up fishing. I liked fishing. It was always like cool. And then saw the bass boat, went up and signed up, and they were like, yeah, we fish tournaments. And I was like, oh, tournaments? Like, what do you mean? Like, they're like, yeah, whoever catches the best 5 bass, and then you pay an entry fee, and then you can win money. And I was like, you can win money bass fishing? I was like, I did not know that was a thing. I didn't know it existed. So I was awful when I first started because I didn't fish lakes as much as just ponds and things like that, just whatever was around Old Mint Hill. And then so once I went up to the mountains of Western Carolina, I got to really experience these mountain lakes, completely different fisheries, riding around in a bass boat again, learning how to back a trailer, like so many different things like that I didn't know. And then seeing these big fishing tournaments. So I got into college fishing and fished some bass and FLW tournaments in college fishing. And then we got into that, and then I loved it so much. I got a GoPro and started filming some of my trips because I was like, I want to relive these trips. Like, look at what I'm doing. I was still in the learning phase, so I really didn't know anything about cameras or what I was doing with cameras. So I just started out with a GoPro, and once I started rewatching all of my stuff, I was like, oh, I want to edit this together and start something different. So that's when I started Bartlett Outfitters.
Okay.
And started uploading these awful fishing videos, but you got to start somewhere. And
Right.
and so that's the thing with any podcast channel, anything, you've got to start somewhere. If you don't upload, then you're not going to find out anything. And so once I started getting into it more heavy and uploading more videos, I was like, okay, it's time to buy a camera. So I bought a camera and realized I was like, man, this camera was expensive. I was like, how am I going to pay for this? I was like, YouTube's not paying me anything right now. And so I was like, I've got to afford this camera somehow. So that's when I started shooting real estate. And so I started taking photos of houses, indoor and outdoor, whatever realtors I could find and try to like make a link with. But at the same time, I still wasn't that good at it. And so I was like, okay, well, what'll give me a competitive edge? And at that point, I guess we're circa day like 2017, drones were still pretty new in the real estate industry. Like they'd been around since probably 2012, 2013, like, but they didn't just really get popular, especially not in the rural part of Western North Carolina yet. So I invested more money. You got to spend money to make money. Oh, yeah. Invested more money in getting a drone, and then got my commercial drone license so I could fly for real estate, and then started making some money there and paving my way to do what I'm doing now. So that was just my fuel to pay the bills doing real estate. I filmed weddings. I did some commercials for some small local businesses and things like that. And then I started working full-time for a media production company that I landed, and he had been filming fishing shows, hunting shows for the past 10, 15 years, does a phenomenal job with Drift Media Productions. And so then that's when I really started traveling and doing a lot of work under Paul Bork was my boss, and he did a great job of really introducing me to the outdoor industry and fishing side of filming. So
Nice. You managed to answer 2 or 3 of my questions just
oh,
in that
cool.
one blurb. But
Yeah, it works.
I remember probably 3 or 4 years ago when you first hit, I think it was 10,000 followers or something like that.
Yeah.
Do you remember what piece of content you made that kind of went viral for the first time, and you were able to do that?
So it was more of like a span of 6 months of pushing content really hard. So what I was working with on Instagram was I realized that I had more reach on Instagram than I did on YouTube at the time. I was starting to get fit, and another thing was the time that I would put into YouTube versus the time I could put into Instagram. It was hard for me to put time into YouTube at the time. I was in college. I was taking full-time classes. I was starting to slack off of my classes when I would do YouTube. So I was like, okay, I got to get my crap together and focus on school. So that's where Instagram was nice because I could push content and it was easy. I just posted a photo, posted short videos. I don't think Reels were a thing yet, or TikTok or anything like that. But so I started pushing short form content in the form of photos and learned how to edit photos and make them appeal. And instead of posting like I used to, like once every 2 weeks, I started posting every day. So like three to 5 times a week really was more realistic. Once I started doing that and really targeting my other audiences, like the audience of the bass fishing community, that's when I realized like there's actually something here. Sorry. There's actually something here. And like I started getting more engagement. So I went from, in a span of 6 months, I think I went from 2,000 followers to pushing that 10,000 mark.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just because I was going through on my explore page and liking people's pictures, engaging with other people in the community, commenting on other photos. And I don't think it was a specific post, but it was just that time and dedication I put into engaging with my audience. I think that's what really did it for me. And no, I didn't have any like crazy videos go viral. Nothing ridiculous until TikTok happened. And so with TikTok, I had a couple funny, ridiculous videos that ended up going viral. And that's where I started getting a lot more following on TikTok. So
yeah, I saw when I checked out your TikTok page, I think you had one video relatively recently that had over 1 million views, I think.
yeah, it's pushing pretty close. I think it's at 900,000, somewhere in there. Yeah. Yeah, my buddy's incident with a perch. So, yeah.
It's. I feel like it's a lot harder on Instagram to kind of gain, those 100 or that even just 1,000 followers because, like you said, you have to post every day, a couple times a day.
Oh yeah.
Unlike YouTube, you hit one video and you've gone viral. You get all these hits.
Oh yeah.
And then same thing with TikTok. You hit once, and you're ready to go.
Exactly.
When you got to college, did you see content creation being a part of your career, or was it a complete surprise?
Not even close. It was a complete surprise. So I graduated high school thinking I was going to be a nutritionist and a dietitian, and that did not happen. I got I got through my first semester and halfway into my second semester and realized that I had to maintain a ridiculous GPA. I think it's like 3.75 or something like that.
Wow.
It was my freshman year of college. I just got heavily introduced to fishing. I was distracted by a lot of things. Yeah, I mean, it's a freshman year. Like there's so many things going on, and my grades weren't there. I was still trying to find a balance. I didn't have a planner yet, like nothing of like no organization to my career. And so at that time I was like, okay, I got to find something else. I was like, nutrition isn't it. I got to think about where I would be put if I was a nutritionist. And I was like, I'm not going to be living where I want to. I didn't like the idea of a 9 to 5. It was really kind of grinding at me like something's not right with this profession. So that's when I took a little detour to try to explore natural resource management, just because I was like, oh, I could be a game warden or do something in wildlife. Like that would be kind of cool. And then around that time in my sophomore years, when I really started to pick up video, and I remember my natural resource management advisor got really mad at me because I was going to register for classes and I couldn't get into a couple classes because being so low on the totem pole credit wise, I couldn't get into a couple classes. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take this sales class. It was like professional selling, I think is what it was called. And he was like, dude, that's not going to help you in your degree. Like, why are you taking this class or whatever? And I was like, I want to take it. And then I remember I walked in the class that first day, and the professor, she was a bit of a hard ass. And she was like, you don't need to be here. Like, you don't belong here. Like, you're a natural resource management major. And I was like, I just want to try it, like give it. And she's like, okay. I ended up making a 99, literally the best grade in the class out of everybody. Did a really, really good in sales. And I was like, okay, like this, I might have something here.
Mm-hmm.
And my fishing partner at the time, Lance Green, was an entrepreneurship major and entrepreneurship and marketing. And so he really like helped lean me into the entrepreneurship program. Come to find out, it's the best in the country. I didn't know that Western Carolina, little old Western Carolina, has the best entrepreneurship program in the country. And I'm pretty sure it still stands.
That's
so it's pretty cool.
What so far has been the coolest part about doing all this, making all this content? Because I know, just from keeping up with you on Instagram, you have been all over, at least, the eastern part of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So what's been the coolest part about doing all that?
I think the coolest part is the biggest thing I've learned is it's not about the destinations you go to. It's all about the adventure on the way there. Mm-hmm. So it's when the truck breaks down halfway to Florida, or you get a call at 10 o'clock at night saying you got to be in Florida by tomorrow, and 10-hour drive. And he's like, you need to be there at noon. So we had to leave at 10 o'clock that night. Mm-hmm. It was like the crazy adventures along the way that really made it. The people I met is insane. Meeting all of these professional anglers in the industry that I looked up to for so long, mm-hmm. I ended up getting on the front lines with working with Black Rifle Coffee, was one of the companies that I did some commercial social media content and things like that for. So what that allowed me to do was we were serving coffee at 4:30 in the morning at all these events. But what that meant was me showing up to the professional events. I was the only one there giving out coffee. So every single pro that I looked up to my entire career is passing right by my coffee booth, and half of them stopped to get coffee, or half of them I went out of my way to go give coffee. Mm-hmm. And so that was like my outlook and way that I could go. And they realized over time, after talking, that I wasn't just a coffee salesman. I wasn't just the guy that gave coffee. That might've been the association, what got me that connection at first. But then when they realized the content side, I've made so many great connections in content, and now like I'm friends with my idols, which is really cool. And like I just the recent post I had, I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, super familiar with professional bass fishing, but I had Mike Iaconelli, Brandon Polinick, Jeff Gustafson, and Oliver Nye all comment on my recent post of my 2020. Sorry, I'm stuttering all over the place. 2021 recap. And that was like crazy to me. Like I was like, dude, if you told me this 2 years ago, I would not think about that, or think it would be possible. But it's pretty cool that you can. The best thing I gathered from it is just the experience and the people. You can't beat it. It's all about who you know and making friends with everybody. It doesn't matter if it's the guy at the gas station, or you held the door open for somebody. Like you don't know who people are. Like if you treat everybody with respect, it'll go a really long way, and you can make some awesome connections along the way. So
yeah, for sure. My brother's seen a little bit of that with his involvement at NASCAR.
Yeah.
A little bit. Now he doesn't have any jobs in NASCAR or anything like that, but he's met tons of race car drivers, and people will come seek him out.
Yeah.
And be like, oh, hey Ryan, I know you, and they'll sign something for him, have a small conversation, they'll walk away, and someone nearby will like, he knows you, and he's like, yeah.
Yeah, dude, Ryan is awesome, man. I haven't seen him in so long too, but that's awesome. I like keeping up with his Instagram. It's pretty cool. And that's the cool thing is that, I mean, social media, it can be bad. There's a lot of bad things about social media, but you think about the good things too, like staying connected with people like us, like, like being able to keep up with each other's lives. But like the main thing we do have to remember is Instagram's a highlight reel. You don't see all of the BS that goes into, like, it looks like I'm fishing every single day, but like I've been editing since 6 a.m. this morning. Like it doesn't look like it looks like I'm living a baller life and all this lifestyle, but dude, I'm just broken. I like to fish. So, like, I don't know, but Instagram is cool. It's got its pros and cons for sure.
Oh yeah. And everyone's got a day like today where, you're just kind of sitting around editing, doing the hard work behind the scenes, but you still get to go out and live and have those great days. And that's
exactly,
that's cool that you get to have those highlight reels that, all these famous bass fishermen can comment on the post about,
Yeah, of course.
You've traveled a lot and you go around all around the countries in your ventures. But what place has been your favorite so far? And did anywhere surprise you, either good or bad? And is there a place that you haven't been yet, but you would love to go to?
Okay.
Bit of a loaded question. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good. So one of my favorite places, I would say this past summer, we went to upstate New York for 2 weeks.
Mhm.
And I also traveled to New York City for the first time, like a month before this.
Mhm.
And so when I went to New York City, I was like a little blown away. It was cool. It's just high pace. And that was my first image of New York, was New York City, which everybody thinks of. But
Mhm.
then a month later, we go up to Lake Champlain up in upstate New York.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's absolutely gorgeous, pristine, beautiful country, like giant lake, super healthy fish, awesome people. Everybody's super nice. It was like a completely different place than where I'd previously been in New York City, and Manhattan's a little different. So I would say that trip in general, we went to Champlain and then we went up farther north through the St. Lawrence River. And I would say that was probably my most memorable and favorite place I've been to so far. Texas is awesome. It's so awesome that I just moved here.
Oh, wow.
So
nice. Congratulations.
yeah. So I just made the big move out to Dallas. I'm in Dallas, Texas now.
Nice. I went there end of 2019, spent the new year there.
Nice. Awesome.
Some,
Yeah, it's a great place
outdoor
to spend
hockey.
New Year's. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. And Dallas is a
Heck
cool
yeah.
place.
Yeah, it's got a lot to offer, and it's a good change of pace for me right now too. So a little different than rural mountains.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. And it's
but there's
no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say there's a ton of awesome lakes to fish around here too, and Texas is known for having some of the biggest bass in the country. So
Really
excited to explore that. And then I'm also a lot closer to a lot of the Elite Series guys in bass fishing, so I can always be the crib they can crash at on their way through or something, So.
Oh yeah. And then you're in the middle of the country, so you can do a little bit more out west. I don't know how much you've gone out west.
Yeah, so that's a part of the map I haven't really explored too much. I've been when I filmed a show called Meat Eater, the DOS boat season last year. We went from North Carolina all the way over to Minnesota, so that's about as far west as I have been in Minnesota, Minneapolis, over that way, and then we went super up north. But there's still so many places out west I want to explore. There's just so much to offer. Colorado and Wyoming are probably the top two on my list that I really want to go to right now.
Oh yeah, those are my dad. He watches a ton of travel videos and stuff like that, because they plan on eventually, just doing like full-time RVing.
Yeah,
and so that's definitely places on their map that they've marked off as Colorado and Wyoming.
yeah.
So
that'd be awesome.
Who is you mentioned you've met some awesome people, but who has been the coolest person you've met so far while out
Coolest
traveling?
person I've met so far. Gosh, there's so many, man. If I had to just dial it into one, it would probably be, and it kind of helps that he was the one I looked up to for my very beginning, my bass fishing career, but Brandon Polinick. He's a younger guy in the Elite Series, but he's been doing it for a long time. So he's probably been, I want to say in the realm of 15 to 20 years, but he's got a big social media following. He's been putting out videos. He's been on the video grind. And that obviously appeals to me because I've enjoyed watching his content from back then and then where it's at now. His video guy, Kyle Van Dever, is absolutely awesome, doing a great job. But that's who Brandon is on social media, but I've been able to witness Brandon off camera. And I think that's what's really set things apart. The things he does in the community, like just one example this year. So they're typically 4-day tournaments in the Elite Series. And so the first 2 days is full field, or the third day is the top 50 and the last day is top 10. He stuck around in town every single event just to take a picture and like congratulate every person that won each tournament. I thought that was something that was really cool. Like most guys, if they don't make the cut, then they're heading to the next place onward to travel. And he actually took the time to stick around and congratulate people. He's great with fans. He's always really good talking to young kids. He does a lot of podcasts and is willing to reach out and do things with people as small as me. Like we haven't got him on yet, but we'll get him there. But he does a lot of cool things in the community, and I just think he's a really stand up guy.
That's awesome. Yeah. Since it's the beginning of the year, I guess I'll throw this question in there. What do you have any goals for content wise for 2022?
Yeah, so we just dropped a podcast in. I guess we finally started uploading back in November. So I would really like to see our podcast grow. I understand it's very slow right now. It's a very slow and hard process to get a podcast going. I'm sure you know.
Oh, yeah.
And so I would like to see that grow. I would like to see it bring us more opportunities to meet new people, hear new people's stories, have more guests on, and I feel like it's really just about the story. I mean, that's what content creation in general is you're constantly addicted to listening to stories, watching stories through pictures, whatever it is. I mean, that the story is the core of content in general. So I'm really looking forward to hopefully seeing the podcast grow. I'd like to explore Texas more, really get to know or just see new places in Texas. And now that I'm living here now, and then I don't know, I would like to see my career grow further. I want to finish starting up my business, my official LLC, get all that squared away, and then just getting finances under control is one. These past 2 years, I've been traveling all over the place. It's been awesome, but just being able to finally get a hold of finances. I think I'm finally at the point where everything's been so crazy, and now I can kind of settle down, grind, and focus on making money and starting life. So that's kind of my goals for 2022, and be happy every single day. Cause I mean, I might not make it till tomorrow, so that's the biggest thing is like, if you find what you love doing, you can find a way to make money doing it. And I've always believed that. So, and I'm lucky enough to be where I am today with that in the back of my mind. So
yeah, it's just like the old adage: if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
That's how it is, man. That's the best way to live, man. Because if something happened to us tomorrow, I'd want us to die happy, right?
Exactly. Now this is the final question, but it's something I want to, with the name of the show, Nameless to Kind of Famous. This is how I want to end every episode of the show. The last question is: do you consider yourself famous?
Far from it, man. Far from it. Not. I think kinda is a good a good thing is if you're considering Instagram, but not famous. I just know people want to make a better mark on the bass fishing community, but also outside of that. So you can be famous in your field, and that's great, but I want to be more on the holistic spectrum of things to be and fame. I don't care about fame. I just care about the connections and the people that I meet and make an impact on. And with that comes a lot of responsibility of making sure that you're being the best person you can be, because you can be, I mean, you look at any famous movie star or anybody out there, and they've got people up and with cameras in their face all the time. And it's like, you slip up and do one bad thing, and then you can be shamed as this terrible person. And it's like, my goal is to always try to stay as positive in my outlooks as I can. So there's no room for error there. So
that's going to be a hard answer to top.
Yeah.
But no, so I thank you for being my first ever guest on the show.
Yeah, for sure, man.
I hope everything goes well for you in 2022 and beyond. And again, thank you again.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for having me on, man. It was good talking with you. Hopefully we'll get together and have some lunch sometime soon. Maybe next time I'm out east.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.